Terra Luna Classic just ended reminting. However, there's a few important things that you need to know, and one of them I can guarantee you no one else is telling you. For us to understand what this one thing is that no one is telling you, we first have to understand how the reminting actually works. So this is the proposal that just passed a couple hours ago with 95% support. If we hop over here to stake bin, you can see something very interesting with reminting, and I'm sure you've all seen some of this before. You can see you have a big remint candle right here where the change in total supply ends up going up. Then a couple days later, you have another one, and that's what all these different green lines are right behind me here. And so what happens is if we look at the time between this is really important for us to understand. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then it happens again. Same thing right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what happens is every epoch, or roughly 7 days, you have a reminting that occurs. And you can see that consistently on the chart here with these little green lines. What's important to understand is that we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we should have a green line. So we have 3 more days before we are supposed to have another remint. Now, this proposal just passed, and people might want you to think, well, this just went into effect. There's never going to be any more reminting, but it doesn't seem like that's actually true. I was actually talking to Zardar just before the new year about this topic and learned something very interesting. You can see right here, he was saying basically that the process is described here. Line 30 would be the place where the current epoch gets updated. Line 38 is where seigniorage is distributed. And then I talked about line 42, and he said, just read through the code. It seems like the tax rate does not update until the end of the epoch. So it would trigger the seigniorage logic once before altering the tax settings. So in theory here, what this means in really simple terms, in the way that the code works, it would first do the remint or the seigniorage, and then after that, it would update the tax settings. And so you could very well possibly have an event where we have one more remint that occurs. It's not like it's going to keep happening. We might have one more remint before this change goes into effect. And so if in a couple days you see another green line on here, don't freak out. Don't panic and assume, whoa, this proposal didn't work. Maybe there was an error in the code. What's going on here? Don't do that. It's important to understand here, this should be expected to have one more of these events before this change goes into effect. Now, you don't even have to trust me or Zardar on this one. You can see it yourself. Now, the code, from my understanding, the code resolves in the order that it appears. So first we update the indicators, internal indicators for the current epoch. So this is updating for the current epoch, just like what Zardar said. Then on line 38, you are settling the seigniorage, which is the remint essentially. Settle the seigniorage to Oracle and distribution, the community pool. Again, this is the remint that we've been seeing going into the community pool. Then we have update tax rate and reward weight for the next epoch that comes after that. And so this is where the tax rate and reward rate, which is, and then on line 42 and 41, as we pointed out, we're updating the tax policy and the reward policy, update reward policy. See that right there? If we hop over to this proposal, what they're updating is the reward policy. And so this is when this would occur. The reward policy update would happen after. First, it determines that it's going to the new epoch, then the amount of remint occurs, and then finally we go into doing this update with the new code, so then there's no more remint from that point forward. So you might be wondering, longer term, what effect will this change have on burns? Well, there's 2 important things that we need to note for this. The first one, when we look at the burns that we're currently performing, you guys can find this data. I'm going to have it linked down in the description down below, but it's burnandbuild.org/LUNC Burn. And you guys can see right here, the main thing that's going to change is this average daily burn. Now we're not going to be reminting 10% of the burn, so we can expect this to increase by a little bit. This is not going to dramatically 3x or something like that, because again, we're just changing 10% of that equation. In addition to that, this meets the first step of the Binance requirements for them to continue burning part of their trading fee. As they said, proposal 10.0983 and proposal 11.111 created reminting or enabled reminting, and they were not okay with their burns being reminted. And so this would stop the Binance burns from being reminted. And then the next step that we need to accomplish is whitelisting the Binance wallet so they are exempt from the transaction fees. Another thing I want to really highlight here is that this proposal really shows the strength of the community and how much we support Binance as a whole. This proposal passed currently with 95% yes, which is insane. We've almost never had proposals vote this high before. The other one that has gone this high really was the funding for the L1 dev team that just came up. But you guys can see the only people who voted no really was Happy Caddy Crypto, and then some other people who individually redid their votes to vote no. And so for the most part here, A lot of people in the community, they support Binance, they support the mission with the burns, they don't want the reminting, and now we have to take the next steps towards funding the community pool, which is another proposal that just passed. I'm going to have a video coming out on this very soon, so be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss that one.